is going to take us up to the much anticipated information security and risk management domain. Like I said, this is a big one on the exam. It's important to understand because every other domain can tap into risk management in order to satisfy the needs from a perspective of security. So very, very important domain. All right, so what are we going to talk about in this particular domain? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about some principles of security. As I mentioned before, we said security transcends technology. Security is a lot bigger than firewalls and other technology pieces. We've got to have separation between resources, trust domains. We've got to have policies like separation of duties in place. So we'll look at some of the principles. Then we start off with security governance. These are the senior officers within our organization, board of directors, maybe steering committees. These are the folks that have that ultimate responsibility for the security of our organization. Everything flows down from them, including attitude about security, ethics, culture. So senior management has a huge role to play in how our organization implements security, right? They determine the ultimate philosophy on information security, the strategy. They determine where we are versus where we want to be. So security governance really is kind of the starting point, and it has to come from senior managers who get it, senior managers that have buy-in. All right. From there, we go to the information security program. So security governance, they're going to give us our strategy, our big picture. It's our roadmap. How do we get from point A to point B in very broad strokes? But the information security program, these are the elements that really make that happen. And our information security program is going to include policies and procedures, standards and guidelines. It's going to include security architecture. It's going to include well-defined elements, technology, technologies, implementations, processes, all of those pieces that make up our security program really what enforce or what enables us to be successful reaching our security strategy. Hopefully that'll make more sense as we get into it. All right, then information security risk management, what it's all about. And really, if you think about information security, all it is risk management, right? We look at what we're protecting and figure out what it's worth. We look at the threats. We look at vulnerabilities. We try to make a good decision for how to protect those assets in a cost-effective way. Risk management is security management. When we look at the risk life cycle, there are four main phases. We identify our risks. We determine a value for them, which is called assessment. Then we mitigate or find a response. And then, because risk management never ends, we monitor, and then we go right back into taking what we monitor. We continue to identify new risks. We assess, we mitigate, we monitor. It's very much a circular process. All right, talk briefly about legal considerations. We don't go too deeply into U.S.-based laws. We'll talk a little bit about copyright and some intellectual property. And then very much last, certainly not least, the importance of knowledge transfer. Take what we know as security professionals and share that information with our team, with our employees, with senior management, and how do we enlighten the rest of the world in the ways of the security Jedi? How do we transfer what we know? All right, that's what we're going to cover.